Welcome back to another episode of Catholic Conversations. As always, I'm your host, Joelle Zarnowski, and today we are joined by Father Brendan Foley, who is currently the administrator for both Our Lady of Pompeii St. Peter and St. John the Baptist Holy Trinity here in Syracuse. And you are also in special ministry with St. Anthony of Padua and the Spanish Apostolate.
That's right. Thanks
Wonderful.
for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Mm-hmm.
So today we're going to be talking about a celebration that's going on right now when this episode releases.
That's right.
At St. Anthony of Padua, which is Las Posadas, which I had never heard of until this was brought to me. So could you explain that tradition for us?
Absolutely. Las Posadas is a tradition that really originated in Spain, but mostly colloquially it's known to be associated with Mexico. And what it is it happens in Advent, and it's a participation of the community in journeying with Mary and Joseph, preparing for the birth of Jesus. And I think part of the beauty of it was that it had to do with literally journeying from house to house in neighborhoods and being able to celebrate as a community in prayer, but also trying to really enter into what was it like Mary and Joseph on that journey, what kind of things were going on in their hearts, trusting that the Lord would provide, that there would be a space for Mary to have an opportunity to give birth to Jesus in a safe and welcoming place.
Awesome. So this tradition blends both cultural and theological practices. Can you explain a little bit more about that, like what this looks like and how those both play into it?
Sure. Well, maybe I should back up and say Las Posadas. What does the word posada mean?
Yeah.
But it means inn, or like a place to find refuge. It's actually really only one place in Scripture where this tradition comes from. We hear it. Actually, I'll read it to you from the Gospel of Luke. Just kind of, it's something that would be familiar to all of us, but it's worth saying again. So when the time came for her to have her child, she gave birth to her firstborn son, wrapped in swaddling clothes, and laid him in a manger, because there was no place for him at the inn. And in Spanish, it says, lo envolvió en pañales y lo rescató en pesebre porque no hubo lugar para ellos en la posada. And so La Posada is really a place that they would have been seeking refuge to be able to spend the night. And so as part of the actual doing of the Posada celebration has to do with an interchange between a group of the community outside of a home and those inside of a home. And there's kind of a beautiful singing dialogue that says, "En nombre de Dios pedimos posada," meaning we're asking if there's a place for us to stay here. And so in a sense, that's where the action comes into play. But for blending cultural and theological traditions, again, rooted right here in Scripture is this moment where we know that Mary and Joseph are journeying to Bethlehem to be able to have the birth of Jesus. And there's, even though it's just one simple verse of Scripture, there's a lot to really meditate with. Especially those who are our parents. They know the anxieties and the longings of their hearts to desire to provide for their children. What was that journey of faith like? The unknown. Are we going to find a place? Was there maybe doubt in Joseph's heart that I can't find a place for Mary to have this baby? So there's a space of sharing in their anticipation and also their posture of faith and trust, that when we also try to imitate and kind of enter into that space, we're really getting the fruits of the season of Advent. And so I think that's kind of where we see the theological roots of this. And culturally, part of the celebration is singing and praying together. So in addition to the sharing the dialogue of the Posada question and answer, oftentimes communities and families will pray the Rosary, and each day of the celebration of Posadas is another chapter of the Gospel being read. So there's a Scripture passage and also a passage from the writings of the saints. So there's a lot going on, but the idea is trying to get to the heart of our season of Advent, in that we're spiritually preparing again to celebrate the birth of Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Great. And so what does this look like for St. Anthony of Padua? What do they do to celebrate this?
So it's funny you say that, because we're certainly not able to celebrate it in the purest kind of celebration, because it really anticipates that that closeness, that proximity, going from house to house, as Mary and Joseph would have gone, until they found a place to stay. Our community, it comes from all over the place. And so as a result of that, we have different families who are very generous to offer hospitality to our community to show up. And so because we can't do it day after day after day after day leading up to Christmas, we kind of spread it out, and we're allowing it to produce great fruit for our preparation in Advent in total. So going to different families' homes, participating in this prayer and this song, and then also sharing fellowship together. That's part of what it looks like on a practical basis.
Yeah. So now when you're all gathered together for the celebration, is there, like, are they offering food and hospitality during these times? And is that like more in a traditional sense with like the Latino community?
Sure. There is. And there certainly is a great emphasis on trying to draw the focus to the prayer and the participation in this spiritual tradition. The added blessing is also the sharing in time community as families, and being able to spend time and I guess in terms of what culturally is served, that might differ from house to house, especially since we have so many different countries represented in our community. And so even the different countries have celebrations of the Posadas, and maybe even have their own nuances on how it gets celebrated. So,
Yeah.
And I think one of the beautiful nuances that we've come across is that in addition to journeying with Mary and Joseph each of the 9 days leading up to Christmas, one of the things that each of the days is dedicated to is a particular virtue or fruit of the Spirit. So trying to also tie what the prayers and meditations of the day look like to deepening our own participation in the spiritual life, but even also too, some countries will also tie miracles of Jesus to each of the days. Again, just kind of helping us appreciate what are the implications of the incarnation, and how does that just completely change everything, God taking on our human flesh. So each celebration will have its own kind of personal flair based on the family who's hosting us.
Yeah.
And I think that, again, just speaks to the richness of the community.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so beautiful. So now you've been at St. Anthony of Padua for a few years now.
Yeah.
So how about for you, like, what are some memories that you have of this tradition with the parish, like some things that you can reflect on since you've been there?
Right. So I would say that it's kind of grown and blossomed in new ways each year. And as the community continues to grow, again, we get introduced to new variations, new nuances on the celebration. And so, but I think what makes me, I think what fills my heart with most joy is that when we have these opportunities to gather, outside of our church building, for us to be able to come together, share song, share prayer, share conversation, you just kind of, again, are reminded that living as a member of the church is so much more than also gathering for worship. It has to do with these, like letting it be inundated in every aspect of your life. And so kind of getting to see the homes of different families and letting them take great pride in hosting our parish family has been so encouraging for me. And so I'm excited to see how the celebrations of this year will play out.
Yeah. I know I've had the opportunity to go to St. Anthony of Padua for a couple of funerals over the last few years. So not for a mass, but even just being there for funerals. And I've met some of your parishioners at different events at the cathedral, and they're always so full of joy.
Yeah.
Even in times of sorrow, they just find this way to be so like uplifting and happy and full of the Spirit. And it's such a beautiful community there. So I'm excited to see what you guys do. Hopefully I'll see some stuff on social media.
Absolutely.
Everybody can check out your
That's
Facebook
right.
page.
St. Anthony SYR.
Perfect. Yes.
Yeah, that's our.
And we'll share some stuff to the diocesan pages too, I'm sure. So if we have listeners who maybe they've never heard of this tradition before and it sounds really interesting to them and it's something that they want to start doing, what would you recommend them to do?
Well, again, if we get to the heart of what the Posada does, is that it helps us journey with Mary and Joseph, and it also helps invite us into that joyful anticipation of what we're going to celebrate. And so, again, it's one of these things that communicates okay, our temptation is to jump into the celebration of Christmas, like before we even get anywhere near the month of December. I was particularly struck this year. I think it might have been even November 1st. I had to go to Wegmans for something, and they already had their Christmas trees out and things like that. And so just that invitation to remember, like, what is the wisdom of the church in offering us these intentional seasons where we slow down, where we intensify our prayers and our attention to some of the mystery and the beautiful things of our faith tradition. When we intentionally slow down and do those things, we are able to celebrate more fully when that actual day of Christmas comes. And so maybe one of the things that families or individuals who want to celebrate this or observe something like the Posadas, one, they could come be part with us, but also two, just trying to maybe you can research this tradition too and see how each of the days leading up to Christmas, it's kind of like a novena, how they call to mind a certain mystery or certain element of preparing for Jesus' birth. So even just trying to carve out time where you intentionally say, okay, these are the preparation days. Like, I'm going to let my schedule of my normal day-to-day life be a little bit different. I'm going to take a little bit more time for prayer. Maybe I can and make it to adoration or to a daily mass, or make sure that like some of the media that I consume has to do with preparing my heart and enriching my spiritual life. Just those kind of things to interrupt our normal flow of day-to-day life would be fruitful. So even you could have your own families or friends to kind of make some sort of posada effort where, again, you're just coming together communally to be able to offer prayer and to be able to celebrate parts of the season of Advent, which I think that there's probably lots of different ways that you can do that. Just, culturally, this is one of the ways that the Hispanic and Latino communities have done it for a long time.
Yeah, yeah. So it doesn't have to be something large scale.
No, again, it's just
part
of it has to do with, entering into that season of Advent as best you can. So
yeah, I think you make a great point too. I think oftentimes we get so excited for the Christmas season, and of course, like, you've got the stores and the commercials and Black Friday and all of that stuff kind of can blur the importance of the Advent season. And I think sometimes it's easy to lose sight of that and really enjoy that time leading up to Christmas. We're always in such a rush to get to Christmas, where we're going to have all of our family over for a dinner and we're going to open presents. But the Advent season is so beautiful, and there are so many ways that you can observe it and really take it in and really put yourself into a place where you are focusing on, what this means for Jesus coming.
Right, that anticipation.
And this just sounds like such a beautiful tradition to really honor that. And I'm so glad that it was brought to us so we could learn more about it from you.
Definitely.
Are there any other things about Advent or Las Posadas, either that you would want to share with our listeners that you think it's important for them to kind of take away as we travel through this season?
Definitely. I think, when you spend time with reflecting on what that experience is like for Mary and Joseph to be journeying, now all of us living in the aftermath of the incarnation, there's a beauty to reflect on. Now it's the reverse. Now it's Jesus who stands at the door of our hearts and knocks and desires to come and find refuge in us to transform our lives. And so, part of that beauty of kind of going door to door and kind of imagining that, and now, like, with gratitude and humility, recognizing that Jesus is the one who wants to enter into us and to bring us deeper into relationship with him. And so it's just you can kind of see how the Posadas reflect that. And then what Jesus offers in response to that is, again, a deepening of intimacy and a calling us to greater friendship. So I think if we continue to follow and to internalize that season of Advent and kind of keep that, and really even all year round, we're able to receive more from Jesus' own initiative in our life. So I guess that's what my encouragement would be in terms of responding in prayer each day.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today. Thank you for sharing all of this with us. To our listeners, please make sure that you like and subscribe. Leave us a review, because we're a few episodes in now, and we will see you next week with Bishop Lucia.
Whoa, all right. It's only getting better from here.
Yeah. We'll see you.